The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Austin over at Agility. Wanted to go ahead and get our time started this morning. We're going to wait a couple of minutes for some more folks to join. I see a few of you guys in here, and I'm glad you're here with us. We do have some tools built into the webinar. So if you're able to just click on the hand raise icon, just give me a confirmation that you can hear me. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to put those hands down. Now go ahead and give me a hand if you guys are able to see my screen as well. Perfect. I'm going to wait about another 2 minutes, give folks some time to get logged in. Of course, we're going to record the session as well, so everyone will get a copy of the recording in their email. And anybody who's not here, they'll take advantage of that. But we'll get started here in just a moment in case anybody else wants to join us for the live session. All right, maybe one more minute. We'll go ahead and jump into our topic this morning. Glad you guys could all be here. See, a couple more folks have jumped in. Good deal. All right, my friends, I am very excited that everyone's here. We're going to go ahead and get started. I certainly want to respect everybody's time and get this going in a timely manner. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off. My name is Austin. I am a support engineer with Agility Communications Group. And good morning to everybody. I'm glad you guys could all be here. We're obviously going to be talking about remote workers as our topic today and how we can get those folks set up for success. And just going to hit on a couple of reminder items here real quick before we dive into the meat of our discussion. Over at agilitycg.com, I want to make everyone aware of a client hub that we have up at the top of the page. You can see there. This is a place where you guys are able to submit support cases to our support team. I'm a member of that team. From that client hub, you're able to log in and check the status of any open cases that are assigned to you, as well as communicate directly with the engineer who is working on that case. So you can actually post comments here, and you'll essentially be chatting and interacting with the assigned engineer as well. Over here, we have a training session that you guys can take advantage of as well as a knowledge base that we're developing with articles that our support technicians have authored. And these are articles that you guys can review to take a look at any issues that you're experiencing, and these articles can provide you solutions with things that you might be having going on with your system. So certainly the support team is always here to help you guys out with any issues that you're having, but those are some articles that you can take advantage of that you might be able to resolve some issues on your side. Of course, we still have our support email address there for any questions or concerns that you guys have. and our calendar of events is on that website as well. So any events that are coming up company-wide, as well as future webinars in this Insight series, you can take a look at those. Certainly let us know if there's any topics you'd like to see covered. You can email us at info@agilitycg.com. Go ahead and get started this morning. Again, glad you guys are here. This is a really exciting topic for me. I'm a remote worker. A lot of us are remote workers here at Agility, and this is something that we've had a lot of success with, and really no exaggeration, it can really change people's lives if it's done effectively and done well. So I want to kind of pass this knowledge on to you guys and see if it's something you might be interested in. A lot of obstacles that have happened in the past when it comes to remote work, and we're going to talk about some of those today and what's been done to kind of integrate some best practice methods and how that all looks and how it works. And of course, as we always do, we're going to have some time at the end for a little bit of Q&A with yours truly. So I'll be here to field any questions that you guys have, and we'll go ahead and kick this off. So upon starting some research and some digging around that I did on this topic, I came across an interesting story that I wanted to share with you guys, because I think this illustrates kind of a crucial mindset that happens with remote work and with technology in general sometimes. This is actually a job posting that I came across from a technology firm in San Francisco. And this was posted by a blogger. His name is Mountain Ghosts on Twitter, and that's his handle that he goes by. And he kind of made an ironic observation about something that happens, some of the backwards thinking that happens in the technology world, and certainly when it comes to the opinions and ideas of remote work. So as a culture, we kind of had this attitude towards technology back in the mid 90s that the information superhighway, as we called it at the time, was going to allow anyone to do anything from anywhere, right? We were very gung-ho in the 90s about the internet and what it was going to mean for our future. And then 20 years later, we've got technology companies in San Francisco that are asking their new hires to relocate. And what's even more ironic about this situation, when you look at this job posting that I found, this technology company in San Francisco actually writes software code that allows other companies to collaborate and work remotely with their end users and with their employees. So hopefully the irony is not lost on you on that one, but it does illustrate something that sometimes folks are not understanding where the capabilities are when it comes to remote work and what's possible. Really, the labor culture for the past 10 years has been abandoning the brick and mortar workday paradigm. It's been going on all around us, and some folks may not even be aware that it's occurring. Actually, back in 1979, 40 years ago, IBM made history as one of the first companies from the Fortune 500 list that allowed their employees to choose to work from home. So whether folks have been working from home or in a satellite office removed from their primary campus, teleworkers have been a part of our labor culture for nearly 40 years now. However, until recently, the tools that those folks have been really subpar. You can see kind of an interesting little graphic here of the technology over time, right? And thankfully, over the years, our solutions have improved, and therefore our efficiencies have improved as remote workers. But for the longest time, remote workers just had someone kind of getting in their face, drill sergeant style here, and handing them a company-issued phone and just having them go to work without much in the way of support. Really, they would get a brief training session, maybe from a supervisor, or maybe a company-issued cell phone would get a brief training session from an IT person. And that was pretty much it. The folks that were working remotely were not really given much in the way of support, and so they had high expectations being applied to some substandard solutions and some subpar tools. Really not a fun situation for anyone involved, either the supervisor or the remote worker in that scenario. So really the bottom line here is that remote work is changing. And as we move on down the road towards the future of this idea of having employees and colleagues out of the office, why is it changing? Why is it suddenly a good idea here in the last decade or so? Well, it's changing for really good reasons, and here's why. Remote work is growing, and it's been growing because the tools that make it possible have just gotten so fantastic. We're really, at this point, kind of out of excuses, for lack of a better idea. The opinions and the practices that go on in the labor culture have kind of spawned an entire generation of independent applications that all kind of do their own thing, right? Communication as a remote worker is really critical. So when you search the internet, you're going to find articles a lot like the one that I'm sharing with you right now. And I'm not going to dive into the details of this article. I'm really using this as an example to further our discussion this morning. But when we find articles like this, they're perfectly good in what they're trying to communicate, which is the fact that there's a lot of solutions out there, like an application like Slack or Zoom for face-to-face communication. Certainly, file sharing is important as a remote worker. Absolutely nothing wrong with these applications at all. But the abundance of these options can sometimes indicate that folks are struggling for synergy, right? Something might work really well, but is it seamless and easy, and does it integrate with other things that we have going on in our office life, right? Luckily, agility for luckily for you guys, an advantage for you guys is the fact that agility isn't set up like most companies. Again, that's really to your advantage when the time comes to decide about doing something non-traditional with your business. And certainly, remote work is gaining steam, but it's not a traditional way of doing things. And some of the tools that we use, like Avaya Equinox, are things that I really strongly believe in. These are some things that I want to show you today that help us to get through our workday. I see these tools firsthand. Obviously, I use them every day as a technician and someone who kind of lives and dies, through communication. And I get regular positive feedback on Avaya Equinox and the things that it helps people do every day. So if your environment is anything like mine, just sitting down and getting started for the day requires a little bit of maintenance and upkeep. And for folks traditionally, they sat down and they would get started with their day on the telephone. Here more recently in the last 20 or 30 years, the PC has taken over and we're probably chatting with our colleagues. We're diving into our calendars to see what's in our immediate future. Certainly returning phone calls and voicemail is a crucial aspect of that. Perhaps we're looking at our list of contacts because we've got a project going on. We need to find someone who's a reliable vendor or a contractor. And if that project really goes well, maybe we want to consider adding that person to our list of favorites, right? So we can find them again, work with them again, have a little bit more success going forward with that person or with that company. Certainly meetings are a regular part of our lives. And of course, we've all got our cell phones in our pockets that are constantly buzzing and letting us know about things going on outside of the work environment. And suddenly you've got your organized, peaceful workspace here that's become a little bit chaotic and overwhelming. Well, when we talk about working remotely, I think the paradigm that we want to embrace is kind of rubbing all of that away and integrating it into an area that's more seamless and makes more sense. Things that remote workers need based on that article that we looked at a moment ago. Remote workers certainly need a reliable telephone solution. They need to be able to chat with their colleagues and with their customers. We need to have a place where we can find contacts and things that are on our calendar. Certainly, missed calls, outbound calls, a place where we can look for those phone numbers, a list of favorites, and even a little bit of email integration is all really convenient. And that's something that all happens seamlessly through Avaya Equinox. And I'm going to be showing you guys a live demonstration of that this morning here in just a couple of minutes. Another concern for remote workers is accountability, metrics, reporting, right? How am I going to know if my folks are being productive and if they are successfully completing what they need to? Well, Avaya has this brand new reporting solution called Avaya Call Reporting, and it's been designed and implemented around the IP office intentionally so that you can, as a supervisor, have very quick, very in-depth reporting, lots of customizable metrics, and dozens of reports that can be utilized in order to get some quick information on what's going on with folks that are outside of the office, right? Maybe you're working from home and your house is a little bit spread out. Perhaps you're on multiple floors and your workspace might not be terribly close to your internet connection. Well, there's some new phones that came out in the past year from Avaya that have Wi-Fi capability options. And so having having to be concerned with connections to a provider router or a modem, those are kind of the thing of the past when it comes to the new models that are available. Due to the way in which these phones register back to the phone system, traveling back and forth between home and office is now much more convenient. And so if a soft phone application like Equinox on your computer is not really appealing, these are some devices that travel pretty easily between home and office. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys this morning. I want to take a look at what it is that Avaya Equinox does for us and how it actually looks. And something that's really fantastic about Equinox is the fact that it has a seamless interface in between different applications and different platforms, rather. So when I have Avaya Equinox on my PC, then I can also have Avaya Equinox on my phone. So I want to pull that up right quick and show you guys the fact that I have Avaya Equinox running on my PC as my regular application every day that I use for communicating with my colleagues. You can see here I can pull up applications on my computer and talk with Kara. So I'm going to close this real quick and just start from scratch with Equinox and show you guys what it is we're going to look at. The top of mine screen here is the little home icon where everything is kind of embedded together in Equinox, and it's a really great place to start as a jumping off point for what you're going to look at when it comes to using Equinox. You got your meetings, messages, call history. There's a little drop down menu here where you can actually customize how you want this top of mind screen to look. But one thing I want to highlight is the fact that the way that this looks on my computer is going to be exactly the way that it looks on my cell phone. So I've got my iPhone over here, and this is one of the great advantages if you're going to be a remote worker is you don't have to have another company issued device that you have to babysit and keep track of another charger, right? Plug it in beside your bed, that whole nonsense. What makes a lot more sense is I already have this iPhone, right? This is my personal phone. Yeah, I've got pictures of my kids and stuff on it, but I can use this for work too because all I have to do is install Avaya Equinox and log in with my company issued credentials, and now I can make phone calls from my iPhone that belongs to me, and my company cell phone or my company telephone number is what people are going to see, and they can call me that way as well. I can talk with my colleagues through my cell phone. I can just pull up my chat log here and send Kara a quick message and tell her good morning. And of course, the iPhone's going to do a little bit of spelling correction, which is nice and convenient. But I can send that over to Kara, and when she's able to respond, you'll see that everything that happens over here on my cell phone is actually happening over here on my desktop application as well. I can double click this and show that the chat log that I have on my iPhone is happening on my cell phone or is happening on my desktop as well. And this popped up on the other screen. Let me bring that over. There we go. So yeah, you can see that Kara's responded to me. It's going to show up here on my desktop on the right, and it's also over here on my iPhone. So it's just a really great tool to have no matter where you're at. If you're homesick, or if you've got a kiddo that's missing school and you need to be able to work from home seamlessly without really missing anything, this is a great way to do that. And it's really convenient. And again, a really great feature is the fact that when I look at my iPhone versus my desktop, everything is very seamless in terms of the visual design to it. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys, and I'll be happy to answer any questions about that. I want to move on to the Avaya Call Reporter that we have as well and show you guys what's possible there. You can see this is the interface where you log in. I don't want to get bogged down on too much technical stuff, but really there's a menu over here where you can jump in and pull up different reports. One of the most common ones is an item called Cradle to Grave, which is just a way of describing the phone call from the cradle, so the beginning of the phone call's life to the absolute end of a phone call, regardless of how many times it changes hands or who it gets transferred to. You can basically toggle a date and then execute, and you're going to get a pretty in-depth list here of call history that has occurred on your phone system during the agreed upon time that you set in your criteria. And all of that call history will pop up and show you a pretty good amount of information in terms of the calling party, the receiving party, and there's even some recording options that are over here. So you can see these icons that populated on the right-hand side. These are all recording events that took place on those phone calls. So not only do you have this printout of the metrics for your workers and folks that are on the phone system, but you can also listen in on conversations after they've taken place. So a really great tool, something I wanted you guys to be aware of when it comes to helping out your remote workers and having them be a little bit more successful in the long run. I'm going to switch back over to my other screen, and we'll keep going here with the presentation. But yeah, those are some great tools to be aware of, some things that actually Agility uses every day. That's a call reporting solution that we've supported and actually utilized for quite a while now, and it's a great tool to be aware of. So really the question becomes, what is holding us back, right? If our talent can become, if talent can come from anywhere and talent is borderless, then really our work can be borderless too. It doesn't make any sense for us to be excited about the information superhighway in 1995, and then in 2015 we're requiring new hires to relocate. That doesn't make any sense. So really, some of this becomes just basic human factors, which is the fear of the unknown. There's a lot of good questions that go into this kind of idea of remote work, and those are questions that Agility has kind of been there and done that, right? All of these things that are of a concern to folks. The great thing about Agility is that we do these things. We have a lot of different providers that we use as technicians. I don't think any of us in the support department use the same provider. We have folks that use Comcast. We have folks that use Xfinity. All AT&T. It really runs the gamut. So the thing that's common here is Agility, and that's a really encouraging element for all these things. Agility has sort of been there and done that, as I said, when it comes to the perceived problems of remote work. So I want to wrap up our time here with a kind of a challenge and a reminder to close us out for the day. Our colleagues and our clients, these are relationships, right? And they can be seen as investments, and they should be treated as investments. There's been time and energy and certainly money that's been poured into hiring our colleagues and acquiring our customers and our client base, right? So why not give these folks the best tool in the toolbox, right? Provide for your remote workers, and they'll really surprise you. If you empower your people and watch what happens, I think you're going to see that remote work has changed in a good way, and that we can help it to be a good change. So that's what I have for you guys this morning. We'll go ahead and get started with our question and answer time now. But here's my contact information, and as well as a few other items for Agility in general. I'm really glad you guys could be here today. So if anybody has any questions, you can certainly type those up for me in the question section of the webinar tool here, and I'll hang out for as long as we need to, just to spend some time with you guys and answer anything that might be of interest to you guys when it comes to helping folks work successfully outside of the office. And if there's anybody that needs to drop, that's certainly understandable. I know we're all kind of busy and have a lot going on. Again, we will send a copy of the presentation out today in a recorded format, so you guys can keep it in your back pocket, look back over it. If anybody would like a copy of the slideshow presentation, you can certainly email me. My information is on the screen there, and I'll be happy to send that out. Thank you, Catherine. Glad you could make it today. April, I was hoping I could count on you for some good questions. Oh, she dropped. Yeah, Phoebe, I just got your request. I'll definitely send that over for you. All right, looks like most of our folks have gone ahead and moved on for their day, so I appreciate you guys being here. Again, my name's Austin, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you have. Phoebe, I got your email, so I will send that over to you shortly. Have a great day. It's good spending time with you guys this morning. Thanks.